and we had tremendous interest across the state for teams or schools to be a part of this program. As of now, because of the high interest, it is now an emerging sport in New York State. So it is an official sport this spring, 2023. So again, that means a sanctioned sport by NISFA. All the rules will be followed through NISFA, through the NFHS. Students receive a letter. It'll be a 6-day-a-week practice. I mean, this is the real deal. It's sanctioned only in 7 states. New York is one of them. So you can see Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Nevada, and New York have girls flag football as a sanctioned official sport. Right now, if Sayville was included in that sport this spring, there'd be 24 teams in Section 11, which is one of the largest in the state with interest. So exciting. These are just a few pictures I wanted to share. This is last year's teams at MetLife. They played at MetLife Stadium, well, just outside of MetLife on the practice field. Just an incredible experience for the girls. The ADs that I have spoken with, they are thrilled that this is now a sanctioned sport, and they're looking forward to bringing this in. If we move to just a few pictures. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I watched the girls PAL, the little ones, playing flag football.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think it's a great.
It's getting a lot of interest.
Yes, I see.
And it provides more opportunities for our kids, especially our female athletes in the spring. So these are other. Yep.
Other playoffs in Alaska or.
And also in the colleges have female football teams.
Sure, they're starting to it's becoming more steam with colleges and recreational, but I can see this down the road being an official sport even at the NCAA level. Pretty exciting. So rationale, really to, it's an opportunity for us to create a girls interscholastic athletic team to the program. It's currently an emerging sport, and it's a great opportunity for Sayville to take advantage of this program. And certainly, like I said before, with Unified, it will enhance the education-based athletic experience for our athletes. And I can see this really becoming a very successful. And if you go to the next slide, there's no reason why Sayville can't be in this picture at some point. So with that, I'm going to let Grace kind of take over, Brianna and Maddie, just to speak on behalf of some of their peers on why they feel like football would be.
So the Sayville community has always done the greatest job opening up athletic opportunities to our students, and I think flag football is the next step in that. Flag football it's really emphasized team building skills and helps build high self-esteem in players. And as you've said, it's all over. My young cousin, she's about 5. She plays on a youth flag football team run by my aunt. Kind of crazy. And it's also I think there's 7 teams in the NAIA level in college, and soon to be an NCAA sport. So I think if we do take this step, it will help us inspire the communities around us to open up to flag football. It's the next big thing.
Very good, thank you.
Very good.
And thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Before we move on to the next portion of our evening, I just want to open it up to board comment. We have 2 just things to discuss. Is one, your level of support moving forward with the unified basketball team. We would then put a proposal for you together in the future about cost and things of that nature, and then also the flag football opportunity. It is fast kind of turnaround because it's this spring, but the opportunity kind of just got approved by the Section 11 to kind of expand the teams to the point where we can now join. So I just wanted to open the board to either to discuss the unified and or the flag football. So James?
I support both. I think they're great. One thing I did kind of want to ask a question. You said that when you opened up that basketball league in our district, you said it was the most rewarding part of your career. What were some of the unintended benefits of it, and what is it that that touched you as a professional?
I can think of it right now. To start the program, I had conversations with their special ed staff in the high school, and we discussed what the program looked like and what we wanted it to be, kind of what our vision was. After we implemented the program, I went back, because you always kind of go back and you want feedback from staff. So I went back to the special ed staff and I said, tell me what you're seeing. And more participation in the classroom. They wanted to talk about practices the day before. They wanted to talk about the games, the high fives in the hallways. Now, I was in a very large district, 2,500 in a high school. And the inclusivity of all of our kids on the unified team and what it meant to them, after getting feedback from their parents, from the teachers, from them, was so rewarding that it's almost like you can't put it into words. Kids came out of their shell. They participated more in class. They sat together in the cafeteria. In phys ed class, they would see each other. I mean, you know, I watched the video earlier today about, you know, they talk about, I would not normally participate in athletics with other students or our special ed population, and it brought the entire school together. To me, that is what it's all about.
There's a feeling of friendship from some special kids,
Building
other kids that they never
relationships.
would have had. Let's just go around this way. That way everyone gets their chance to speak.
With the unified, how many, what's the commitment, like how many games or?
So unified is a small commitment. It's 6 games, 3 home, 3 away, with a postseason sometimes. We didn't have a postseason last year, or we did. The year before that we didn't. But so it's not a huge commitment. Practice games have running time, no shot clock. So games are usually about an hour and 10 minutes at the most. Practices, we only are requiring 6 practices before the season starts, because that's a requirement for basketball. After that, it's 1 practice a week, 1 game a week, about, right? You know.
I'm the basketball coach.
Well,
we're
Northport Unified
so I
coach,
can
you
speak
should-
later, but yeah,
Yeah.
we do 8 practices in case someone misses it, and 6 games.
Yeah, so it's a very small commitment, but you know, so we don't
And
overwhelm
how
the
many-
students with
how
the
many
commitment level.
participants in it?
I mean, and, you know, you could have anywhere. I mean, we had so many kids that wanted to be part of the program that we had the upwards around 25 to 30 kids on the team. Obviously, it's challenging to get them all in, but we had kids that just wanted to be a part of the experience and came on as managers. They kept the book, they were managers, they helped facilitate whole school engagement. You know, Mr. Gantan and myself have been talking about putting together a youth leadership club to promote the sport, get kids at games, and you know, they all had roles. So it was really, you know, a basketball team usually has about 15. We had almost double that included into this
And in
program.
the flag football, I mean, is it as long a season as the other sports?
Yep,
or-
so
and how many-
flag football, it will start March 14th, March 13th, which is the first day of spring sports, and it would be a 6-day-a-week commitment, 12 games, 6 home, 6 away. There will be a full schedule, just like any other sport in the spring. And NISBA just came out recently saying that they're going to host a New York State Championship in 24.
And is there any danger or whatever of like being too attractive and drawing from other sports, or do you think there's?
You know, it's interesting. I did have conversations with our spring sport coaches, and they didn't feel like this would interfere with them. You know, the one comment that I got back was that the more opportunities for kids, the better. Is what I got from coaches in the spring.
I totally agree.
So coming around, Maureen, would you?
I think it's an incredible idea. I see the kids playing in the front, the girls playing, and some of those girls are really good. They're, you know, young, playing in their front yards. I said, you know, I've said this a while ago. I think I went to Brown, I was looking it up to see one of the schools where my son was in school, the Brown or corner, that had a girls football team. So I always wondered why we haven't progressed at this level, but I'm glad to see.
Yeah, I'm not putting any pressure on the girls, but
No.
I expect a championship.
But I want to thank you for being, Ryan, I want to thank you for being so forward thinking,
Oh, thank you.
really,
Yeah,
thank you
appreciate
very
that.
much.
Sure. Oh, thank our kids.
As far as the flag football, I 100% support that. I know my daughter already showed interest. But I think it's great to have as many opportunities for the girls' sports as we can. And if it leads to, you know, further playing in college, that would be better.
Yeah, sure.
But as far as unified basketball, as a 20+ pediatric physical therapist working in special education, this is like my dream come true. I'm already thinking of goals. But I think it would be an excellent opportunity. I would fully support that. The unity that it would provide for all students would be amazing. And Franny, your letter, of course, I'm crying over here listening to your letter. 4th grade Franny was very intelligent
That was
girl.
very
Uh,
wonderful.
Really, what you said about how can't wait for sports to come, like you just play and it would make all your problems go away. I bet you a lot of kids feel that way. And so the more opportunities, the better. So thank you.
I think they're both a no-brainer. I mean,
Yeah.
Grace is here to speak. So flag football has been a big part of our house this year because of the new league in the younger levels. So everything from drawing the lines and trying to tape them out, and they're excited. The little girls are excited. They're so happy to be doing it. And I think it's a good spring sport. It's another opportunity. The fact that it's moving up to the college level, it's kind of like what lacrosse was at one point.
Yeah.
And for us to be sort of the incubator for that, we all know how the lacrosse players, they look to Long Island. Well, if we're the lead of that, that's always good. So, we're a sports family, so we're good. As for the unified basketball, I mean, how are we not doing this already? Why is it taking so long? I think that I love the idea that it's growing. I love that, although it's really great to have sports teams that are winning, it's really more than just winning. And this kind of takes that sort of pressure away and makes it really about what sports are about: camaraderie, self-esteem, fitness. And I think it just gives every kid what they want. That's to be accepted and feel equal without worry. And I think the kids that are probably partnered get more out of it than the students that were just invited in. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer. So thank you. And girls, thank you. Brandy, haven't changed a bit.
So it sounds like from all the board, sorry.
Left me out again.
You
want my
order of
patch?
business. Yes, I do.
I remember probably about 6-8 months ago, a particular student on that audience came to me and said, Mr. Vidon, what do you think about flag football? I'm like, I think pretty good. Why don't you bring it to the board? And so thank you. Bring it to the board. I'm not going to point to anybody out, but it wasn't you. It wasn't you. Great idea. Let's see what we can do to get it done. So fantastic. And thank you for bringing it to us. Ryan, thanks for your leadership.
And sorry, Sam, we're handing you more.
I would also
I'll figure it
add
out.
that-
No more cookies.
Yeah, we're not talking about cost yet. But, I would add that when we had the families that came with the fencing
Fencing.
that time, and what it's done for those students, it's a no-brainer. So anything that we can do to improve engagement is good.
Yes.
Thanks.
So first of all, I want to say to the girls, thank you for coming tonight. You did a wonderful job presenting. And it sounds like you have unanimous support from the Board of Education. Congratulations for moving forward with unified basketball and flag football. It's just a good lesson of when you advocate and fight for something, you can get it. So congratulations.
Good work.
Good job.
All right, at this
Now
point.
go home, do your homework.
Start practicing. At this point, we're going to now move on to the next part of our evening with the presentation from the Special Education Department. One of the things I wanted to point out tonight was that Jillian Macris was unable to be with us. It was her intention to present with Stacy Gigante, because one of the things we wanted to emphasize was that special education has evolved so much over the last decade. And we don't want to present a presentation to you that's just about special education, but the interaction between special education and PPS is now really more about just school. So this is like a school presentation and how we help our special education students and how we support them and the why behind the work we do. But we want to start talking about special education, not just as its own area, but as an integration with the entire school system. And that's kind of what our approach is. So I want to thank Stacy for coming tonight and presenting on our special education. This is just an overview. So you'll get a sense of what we currently have, what we're currently aiming to do. And then we'd like to open it up to discussion from the board in terms of like, we want to come to you in the future with proposals for additions and further development, but we want to get some feedback from you before we go forward. So Stacy, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris, and thank you, the board, for having me here and being able to really highlight our program, what our staff are doing, how our students have grown. Before we even get into our programs and our overview, I think it's really important to talk about what our beliefs are, the why behind what we do. Special education is not a place. Inclusion in schools is not just a program or a classroom or a student. And I think that's really important because those are misconceptions and those sometimes prevent us from going forward. And I think we've done a great job being able to expand and find opportunities to grow our vision. One of the things that Sayville's committed to, so we want to ensure that each child belongs, each child learns, and that there's individual growth. And that individual growth looks different for each student. Our beliefs drive our goals. We want to enhance an environment of inclusivity, increase community collaboration, promote opportunities to empower student independence, because in the end, that's what we want the most, is our students to be successful in life. Deliver comprehensive professional development to our staff so they can deliver the most effective strategies and interventions, and meet the individual academic, social, and emotional needs, really meet the whole child. So an overview, our population right now in special education as of October, we have 443 students classified out of the 2,681. That's our school age students. We have 46 classified preschool students. We also, it's not a special education service, but our department does handle our 504 accommodation plans. And right now we have about 172 students receiving a 504 accommodation plan. When we look right now what our current programs are, over the years they've fluctuated. So, we grow programs, we change programs really based on our student needs and what our numbers are. So right now, this is what our programs look like, not to say that they won't change really as our student needs and our population grows. At Lincoln Avenue, we have the resource room, ICT in grades 1 and 2. We have a special class 1214 and a special class 814 and a 3 through 5 special class. Sunrise has our resource room, integrated co-teaching, K3, 4, and 5, and our special class is a 3 to 5, 1211. Cherry Avenue right now has our resource room. And regardless of what building any student is in, we always offer the full continuum of related services. Those might include speech language, physical therapy, counseling, behavioral supports, specialized reading, our occupational therapy, vision, hearing services, parent training. These are just some of the ones that we do provide.
I just wanted to point out also that because of the range of programs we have over the years really been able to bring back a lot of students into our district who were formerly out of district placed, and that really adds to the value of our schools and having our students with us.
Right now, we have about 27 students that are in out-of-district placements, which is a huge decrease in the number of what we've had in the past. So we are proud of that.
What was that number?
27.
And can you talk a little bit about what would it be, just in general, what type of profile is the ones that are still out of district?
I would say over the past couple of years, just with the changes and just everything going on in life, a lot of social emotional needs have really faced a lot of our students that need a little bit more difficulty. And then we have a lot of students as they got older, might have been with us as they were younger, and as they got older, they might have significant deficits, cognitive, academic, language, daily living skills that they really needed more support.
That's a medical needs as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And can I ask a question? On the previous slide, you had 46 preschool students. Is that usual or is that?
That's it. So the hard thing with special ed, when everybody talks about numbers, there are years where we can have low numbers. We can have low numbers in our classes, and then there are years we can have huge numbers. And there's not always a rhyme or reason to it. Last year we had, I believe it was about 90 preschool students when we looked towards next. So some of those students came into kindergarten, some were declassified. 46, it was still high. In past years, we might have had lower. So it really fluctuates. And like I said, it's
Just out of curiosity, is that because maybe the age group as well? Like, can that play a role?
Well,
Yeah.
with the high number, I think, and it's not just our district that really contributed to the past few years, is that during COVID, there was not an opportunity to have in-person evaluation. So a lot of parents really waited and didn't evaluate earlier than they might have.
Also, you could have a high number of preschool referrals that are classified, but then when they get to their CSE or kindergarten, they get declassified. And then usually what you want to see is waiting as long as you can till second or third grade before you're making that decision again, because children develop at different rates, and brain development at 5 and 6 years old, you don't want to classify a kid for the rest of their life when it really just needed a little more time.
The middle school, again, we have resource room, ICT classes, our special class, and our functional academics class. Sayville High School, resource room, ICT, special class, and our functional academics and career development, which really continues to develop and generalized skills that students have learned to help them with their independence going forward. Some unique components, because our 814 and 1214 are a little bit different. It was created, I believe it was like 2012. The district really took a long time creating it and really had a lot of input. So we're proud of where it started and where it's come. This year we do have those 3 classrooms. It's really based on the practices of applied behavior analysis, and based on your point, Dr. Ferris, at the time that this was created, we really had a significant amount of students that had needs in these areas that we might not have been able to meet. So applied behavior analysis, a research-based intervention, it's really based on the science, breaks down all of our skills, not just impeding behaviors, but our social, emotional, academic, our language skills. And that's what we know that really is proven to help students learn. This class also has, which is, our other districts, surrounding districts are jealous, but we have our speech language classroom consultation 5 days a week. So our speech teachers are in the classroom, they're working with our special ed teachers to really work on generalize a lot of skills they're using with the social skills or wherever it might, kids might need that. So it's great. And then the students receive their individual services on top of that.
And just to clarify, the reason that other districts are jealous is because we're one of the only districts that actually has that speech service in that area. But could you speak a little bit to the rationale? Because I think there's a purposeful reason for that.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of our students coming in had those language deficits, and that language really interferes with many things, with their ability to express themselves, so those social emotional needs, with their ability to socialize with other students, with their ability to really access some of the academics. So that came in to really help build that up and have that generalization, that time that the speech language therapist can work with the teacher and they collaborate together, and it's been a wonderful thing. We also have individual parent training for our students. They work collaboratively with our teachers and our teams with parent training in the home and school. Our 812, which is at the middle school. Again, this year is probably one of our biggest populations in our class in that program. We really look to start now taking those skills that they've learned from elementary school and generalize them in a functional way so that they're relevant to life, they're relevant to them, and they can generalize to different environments. Really looking at fostering independence because, as any student's a big jump from elementary to middle school. So really looking at that and being able to help that independence because high school is right around the corner. And we use different resources. We have Teach Town, Encore, which we had started last year with our elementary and middle school. We had also started transition at the high school, and this year they just starting their high school program, and we're a pilot district for that. Our special class at the high school, really looking into really partnering with the community, which we've done a lot of to help our students get out into the community, whether it be some of our students have gone into job opportunities, we've had a work-based learning program, so we will speak to different businesses in the community to see who can help our students and maybe match some interests, which has been wonderful. Our school store that's in the high school allows opportunities to generalize a lot of language skills and math skills and functional skills that our students are learning. We have travel training within the community, taking the train, going around town, going into different restaurants and stores. Our PACE lab, which is up and running, and it's wonderful. It's a really it's a workplace lab, which really teaches students work skills, work behaviors, and it helps assess where their needs are, where their interests are, where their strengths are, and what kind of areas that we can help develop to really help students independently. Our professional development is something that I think as a district is pretty robust. We spent a lot of time bringing in different programs, different trainings, and supporting our staff and carrying those over every year. This year, well, the past 3 years, we've really partnered with LaPretz Creative Support Services, which is our ICT coaches. But even with them, we've done this as an administrative team. We started this summer with Beth and her crew and our whole administrative team, our cabinet, our principals. We all sat down, we looked at creating a shared vision, looked at action steps, and this will be a really deep dive kind of training that will continue over the year. Our teachers have been getting co-teaching workshops. We've done curriculum modifications, classroom coaching, differentiated instruction training, which they're also presenting at our superintendent's conference day. And we've done some student-centered planning sometimes when we have individual needs that we all need to sit down and really plan a little bit deeper. Cindy Goldrich, we brought in last year, and we're bringing her back for Superintendent's Day too. She does a lot of our ADHD training and coaching. She's pretty well known in her field. She has some great things out there, and a lot of our parents have taken advantage of her workshops. We have behavioral support, our CPI, applied behavior analysis training, our training series for AIDS and trauma-informed care. 2022, 2023, continued professional development with our Encore, as I had said, that we are now being our pilot program for this at the high school, and we'll continue our training in our other areas. Our PACE lab continues to have coaching and training. We're continuing to develop our agricultural curriculum and development throughout with different agencies in the area. Replicator Reality is a program that I think most parents would love their children to have. It's about financial management and finding jobs and writing applications, and we're really training our students on that as well. Step Up to Writing is a new program we piloted in the high school last year. We're looking to expand that to our other grade levels. We're continuing coaching with Sunday reading program. Linda Mood-Bell, our visualizing and verbalizing, we had done last year with not only our special ed teachers, but our speech language teachers and our reading teachers. Science of Reading training, we're looking also to dive a little bit deeper into reading this year. Math, our Bridges intervention, we're continuing to train our staff on, and Linda Mood-Bell, which is another visualizing concept type of training for our teachers. They really loved the visualizing and verbalizing for reading and have really asked to start exploring that program. Our community collaboration, I can tell you, it's been wonderful to over the years to really expand that, and we're very excited to work with the different organizations that we do. Cornell Cooperative Extension has been a great asset to us and really helping us with our agricultural and horticulture that we're trying to even expand further to our entire district and community. Learning for Life is a program where we have different speakers come in. Last week we had he was a former student who is now a dispatcher for the fire department. We've had veterinarians in, magicians, really just giving the students an opportunity to see different careers. Long Island Railroad, we've been in talks with, just they do travel training and safety for our students. Inclusive sports and fitness. Dr. Cox and I have met, and we've really looked into helping our staff with the science and a lot of being able to support our students even better with motor skills. And one of our great highlights of last year, that with the help of many organizations like Save the Great South Bay, Chamber, Rotary, Friends of Sayville, we were awarded a $5,000 grant to help us expand our agricultural opportunities. We have a wonderful greenhouse, so we've actually, again, expanded even more opportunities in middle school and elementary. Last year, we were able to reach out. We were finally able to visit places again. Mattituck School District was wonderful in showing us their school store and a lot of different opportunities they had. Hayground School was another private school that we were able to really help develop some of our programs. And we continue to really collaborate with transition and planning agencies to help the best outcomes for our students. Extracurriculars, that one picture was from today. We did have our integrated athletics, and we had hosted Athletics for All. Students are very happy. We've done things such as Top Golf and gone to other districts. Special Olympics, our students participate in, and a lot of our students do participate on district-wide sports with support. Our future hosts, as Dr. Cox had said, we're looking at hosting the Youth Leadership Conference. And we are looking forward to our unified basketball team next year. I think that's it. I really appreciate the time. I mean, as a department, all of us, between our student services, our speech language therapists, all of our teachers, our staff, we realize that as a parent, you send your child to school, and your hope is always that they make connections. And sometimes those connections might be because of an intervention that we have or a program we have. And sometimes it might be a strategy or a person that they connect with. And I think through all of these things that we're doing, if it's academic or beyond, we're really looking to enhance and create those connections for the students. Thank you.
I just want to take a moment before you clap, and then you clap, to compliment Stacy that since I started here in July, she's here working tirelessly, and she's basically running this entire very, very large department with all of the things you see, and kind of coordinating and supporting our teachers, our students, and our programs, and trying to work towards that idea that special ed is not a place and a department, but it's really integrated throughout all of our schools. And it's not an easy task. It's one of the most challenging areas in any school district to work through. And I just want to compliment you on the presentation and the support that you've done. So thank you, Stacy.
Thank you. God's up.
So what I wanted to say is I'd like to have some moments for questions, but then also to go around. One of the things I want you to think about as we talk about special education tonight is just in terms of, we're going to be planning a 5-year strategic plan. And so we want some of your feedback now, if you have some, just about what your feelings are about what you've seen and what you would like to see in the future. I'm also considering that, we were visited by the Sayville teachers in September at the liaison meeting, and they had some concerns that they raised about special education supports that they want to see in conjunction with what Stacey's presenting, and anything else that you want to talk about special education. I will take thorough notes. And then in February, when we come back with the 100-day report and our 5-year strategic plan, we're going to include that, our plans in that. So your feedback is important. So questions open for it.
Okay, I just want to say thank you very much. I mean, unbelievable what you've accomplished also. Going back to the first slide, because we talked about this once before, is there a way we can eliminate the word special?
I would
No.
love to.
And yes, have it in the background because the state needs it, of course. But it's like you said in the first slide, it's part of our general education.
Yes.
And to have that stigma of special, I think, it's how many years now? We should find a way we can eliminate it.
Take a label off.
Come up with different words.
Unified's
That would be
not
awesome.
Huh? What?
Unified's not a bad word.
Yeah. And or diversified education or something like that. That would encompass the whole thing. But everything up
We
there.
follow the regs of the state. We
Yes.
always hope that, for them to change, and they do. We,
Yeah.
one of our classifications we changed this year, our learning disability
That's a good
classification. So
point.
they look sometimes at words and really what they mean to our students, but
Yeah.
we do follow. But we try. I mean, like I said, I think our vision, and I've shared this with you all before, is really not to be so separate. We're really, it's all the same. Our goals are still the same, regardless of any student that's here, and that's including us.
And I saw a video over the weekend at the, I think it was a volleyball game, and just, different children, with different needs amongst, other children, and the way they were so unified again,
Yeah.
and cheering for the game, it was really amazing.
Yeah.
Now,
I want to say you've done an incredible job with the program. My biggest, always my concern is that I do like to include them. I wish we had enough space or students to keep them in their own school when they're in a contained program. I don't like having to move from elementary school to elementary school. It does bother me to this day. And if we
Although
have,
the one thing I think sometimes, and I don't know if that's what you meant, but when our students start in the building, if they're in ICT, they stay in.
Yes.
I know it looks like it's different sometimes, but they do stay in, but
yeah,
there's still
well,
is
it's
that
usually,
difficult
Up to homeschool.
sometimes it's a student that maybe you pick up in second grade
yeah.
or third grade. And that's difficult,
Yeah.
that hands to some emotional difficulty. And I understand why it has to be done. I get Sam would probably shoot me if I said, let's put 3 students in, with a unified code with the teacher. And look at his eye. I know the financial burden and our taxpayers wouldn't like it, but I wish there was a miracle way that we could do that. There are some ways that I know some people wouldn't care for, but, you know.
Don't.
Not gonna say it.
I have to say,
Say
the
it, say it.
that's why I always like the Princeton plan, because if you have first and second graders are all together forever, it's just building. So I had to say it, that's why, because everybody's together.
Yes.
I like
Such
that.
a good duck.
Okay, now they'll probably get in
it's fine.
trouble, but that, I just like making sure the kids are all taken care
You
of.
can't get in trouble for sharing your opinion.
Yeah, well, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay,
You can't get in
remember
trouble
you
with me.
said that.
Wait until later.
I'd like to just say, again, also thank you for all your hard work. 2 things, just stemming off of what Tom said about just kind of unified theme. Are there any opportunities similar to unified basketball where it's like an academic setting where you have different students running together to kind of help each other out? Would that be a possibility?
Yes, we always would, especially with our special class, we used to have like a group of students and we call it something different all the time. We used to have kids like really asking to participate and help and learn how to work with different kids with disabilities. And during COVID, that kind of went by the wayside. But there's always opportunities. Our teachers are wonderful in finding different classes that they team up with. Anytime there's trips and plays and lunch and recess and all their specials, there's a lot of integration. And then we train a lot of peers just naturally. We have been looking even further, especially with the unified sports with the Special Olympics, and Dr. Cox and I had met with them. They have a pretty intensive supports and resources. It's a lot. I think we walked out at me and we were like, well, it's just one thing right now. But it's really about that, is trying to find different ways and really make them part of your culture. You know, even with the unified sports team just in the high school, it's not just playing the sport, it's being able to, there's a group of kids that talks about disability awareness all year. And there's a group that brings in all the kids into the stand. So that's where we're looking at different levels. So that's something we're starting at the elementary school and going forward.
Also, the integrated co-teaching really is what is supposedly supposed to be that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, just to kind of, like, okay, I'm sorry.
My second thing, would you just mind touching on, you had one of the slides in the high school, you have the program that trains children for like the future. Could you just like touch a little bit more
The
on
PACE
that?
Lab or Replicator Reality?
The first one.
PACE Lab?
Yeah.
So the PACE Lab is set up, it's really like a work lab, and it has different areas that students might find interest in. It's construction or office management, and there's different tasks and task boxes that they do, and it's pretty independent. They become the worker and the teacher becomes the employer, and we have to tell, you know, any kind of support staff back up and let them kind of go through, because that's part of the learning. So when they make a mistake, we go back. So they go into the lab, there's different things that they have to do. They have like a time clock, they go through, they have a list of things, and it builds up. And at the end, you have an assessment to kind of look at where their strengths and weaknesses are, where their interests might be, or what kind of just workplace behavior skills or just skills that you might need to work on.
And then do you see those translate over as they get older and go out into the
Yes,
workforce?
yes.
Okay. All right, great.
And the work-based learning program is great. We have had students where we think we know where their interest is, and then sometimes they go and now they're in the workplace and they have that real life experience, but we're able to take all that data to be able to plan a little bit better or change as we may have to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now I have to remember what I said. No, sorry. No, no worries. I think it's kind of a blend a little bit here. I do agree with Maureen. I think that it would be, I know there's always a cost piece to it, but to see, I know that always in this forever, as long as I've been around, when parents don't have their students going to what they consider their home school, they always feel like they're slighted or they're being even more excluded. And maybe through programs like unified basketball or other ideas, I think we could be really innovative to figure out how even if they have to get the bulk of their education, in a classroom that gets from their program, there's still a way to make them feel included in their home schools. There might be like a best of both worlds that doesn't have the budgetary constraints. And I
Right,
guess we
right.
start to brainstorm that to kind of look at possible ideas for that. I
Sure.
think that's great. So, that's all I got.
Come around, James.
I feel like we're in a completely different place than we were 10, 20 years ago. I think there's an awareness of special ed and there's a commitment to providing a full continuum of services. And I don't think that was really kind of the way we operated previously. We're empathetic, we've always been empathetic, but I think there's a nuanced approach and a kind of a progressive approach towards meeting kids' needs that we didn't have, even 10 years ago. Like, for example, like the PACE Lab. I happen to work as an assistant principal in national voices. We're building ours now, and like generally, we're kind of at the tip of the spear of those things. And like, I'm kind of proud to say, well, that we're already there. I just think that speaks volumes about meeting the needs of our kids wherever they are. And I think, especially when you factor in something like basketball in terms of changing our attitudes, it humanizes the entire culture.
Definitely.
And I think that's one of the most for a typical child, the empathy that is developed with that awareness and respect, that changes lives. I'm just really proud of the work you're doing and that we're doing as a school. Thank you.
Thank you.
I went on.
Me, it's just, what's bad about going last is you have to try to think of a question that hasn't been asked yet. I don't have a question that
You
hasn't
should
been
go
asked
first
yet,
sometimes, John.
and I agree with all my colleagues on the table, and thank you for all the hard work and dedication
Thank you.
to our students. And we're looking forward to another successful year. working
Thank you.
together. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in general, I heard you said you wanted to spend the $2 million to put the program in each of our schools. But seriously, as we plan for the future, is there any feedback you want to give to Stacy or I about what you want to see in future plans? Now, you'll have more opportunities over the next several months, but we can start the conversation now if you'd like to just talk a little bit about that.
Like we just said, I'd just like to maybe going forward, continue to look for those unified opportunities where, in addition to the ones that we already have, to just continue growing that
Add on.
and adding to that as an experience for all of us.
And if there's any way to bring them, keep them in the homeschool or modifications for the students or something.
I have to tell you one story that I just shared with Dr. First. It was the highlight of my mornings at the high school. We had started a world language elective, and it's French. And there was a lot of, what are our kids going to do in French? How are they going to speak a different language? And I went into the class, and these are students that really have language deficits and might not always be engaged. And it was amazing to watch children with cognitive and language deficits speak French, like all over, but naming things, going around, talking, only speaking in French for the entire period. Our teachers, our staff were wonderful and really trying to meet different needs and giving them an opportunity that our students wouldn't. So it's happening at a lot of different levels. And I know sometimes we don't get to share all of that, but I had to share this morning because that was just how we started our day. So
That's absolutely perfect. Think of how well they do if they started kindergarten.
And I saw Ms. Haas.
I tie that
I
in for
couldn't
you,
help
see?
it. I do really believe that in my heart of hearts. Children are like little sponges, and the earlier we introduce things, the better
Right.
off we are.
And it's one of those things too that we say, like, if they don't have the opportunity, how would we ever?
That's right.
And here's a child who teacher's going, I wish he had like 4 more years to learn because he's just exploding with his language.
Just to add to that story, I was at the high school at the unified soccer game, and one of those students was with their French teacher, Ms. Haas, and they were just laughing and talking together. And I was thinking, wow, that's a teacher that this student wouldn't even know if they didn't have that opportunity. And look
Yeah.
at this nice relationship. And I think sometimes we're counterintuitive. Like if a child struggles and has language deficiencies, we say, oh, let's make them language exempt so it's easier. But really, you can actually build skill in a different way through a language class. So the very thing they might need is just to do the language and have more of it to build those skills that are deficits. So I think it's counterintuitive, but it actually makes a lot of sense.
And having said that, up at the conference, that was one of the things I asked a lot of school districts. Nassau County school districts are moving a lot. They're a little more forward thinking in that area. There are a lot of school districts that have started language at the kindergarten level. And the ones that haven't, I definitely ask them to bring it back to their board, so maybe the state will move forward, as they all know, as I,
And I know I could say, if I always invite you to come, if there's, I would love to take you into some of these opportunities, because I can't really explain some of the things that we see that are going on, so. anytime.
appreciate them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments for us or suggestions? Right, and one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking, Tom, about unified and just not, doing things to not label kids. One of the things that we have right now, we call our programs names. And it's because it's easy, and then we come up with cute names like pals. But then it does do something when you say, oh, those are the pals kids. Like, so yes, it could be like, yay, those are the pals kids, or oh, those are the pals kids. So I think sometimes it's better to just get away from that and say, that's Mrs. Jones's class. It happens to be a 12-1-1 or an 8-1-4 or whatever it might be, but maybe like get away from calling them names and just say, this is Mrs. Smith's class. Because every other kid has a class with a teacher's name. We don't say it's the third grade 24-1 class. So that might be just something to look into, just to get away from those labels.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to plug in again. We have a little bit more to go. Sam has a 12-hour presentation on the budget report. No, just kidding. Sal, could you switch our? Yeah, 4. Okay, Sam, take it away.
Okay, so there are a bunch of numbers up there. I'll take you through them briefly. Annually, I've spoken about it before. The tax anticipation note is an annual borrowing that the district does. It is meant to borrow in anticipation of taxes paid by the community, but then billed back out by the town of Iceland, since that's our tax jurisdiction. For 22-23, our borrowing amount remained the same as the 21-22 school year. The second bullet is probably the most important one, given the economic times and especially yesterday's news. The district's net interest rate was 3.581%. And if you saw the news yesterday, there was a 0.75 point hike in the Fed rate. And this is extremely important because if you look at last year's rate, it was less than 0.25%. So there's a massive, nearly 20-fold increase in the interest rate. And this is all in the course of 1 year. And had we scheduled our borrowing a little bit later, we probably would have been subject to a higher interest rate. So the conditions and, just the fortunes permitted that. And while it is high and while the interest cost is dramatically higher than last year, I would like to point out the third bullet on the notes section, which is it's actually 0.6 point lower than a neighboring district in Suffolk County, where they went out for a similar amount and they were at 4.2%. And, speaking with our fiscal advisors, that's related to the bottom. Our stable tax rate, our reserves, our audit opinions, our fund balance position, our credit rating. Moody's does have to review every official statement that we issue when it comes to a borrowing, and they did in this case. So that's one of the reasons we had that 3.58%, which again is very high considering the last decade and borrowing rates over the last decade. And finally, the fiscal stress monitoring indicator, which 7 straight years of no indications of fiscal stress. So to basically top it all off, yes, our net interest cost is significantly higher than last year, which obviously, come budget time, that is something you can't predict. You reasonably can predict, but this year has been completely a different year. However, on the flip side, because interest rates are higher on one end, it also works on the revenue side as well. So the amount of money that we do borrow would offset the additional expense that is represented on the screen here. So that in a nutshell is our borrowing results for the 22-23 school year.
Any question for Sam?
Tan says we get X amount of dollars. I want everybody to fully understand this. We get X amount of dollars from the state. They don't give it to us right away. We have to borrow money until they give it to us.
Yes.
Is that TANs?
Yes. So there are 3 types of borrowing instruments. There's a TAN, a BAN, and a RAN. A TAN is for local taxes. In Nassau County, obviously, it's Nassau County. For Suffolk County, it's the own individual townships.
Right.
A BAN is if you have bond proceeds that you're expecting, and the RAN is in what you just mentioned, let's say that the state has delayed a payment that you rely on, you can take what's known out as a revenue anticipation note
Okay.
in anticipation of state aid as that revenue. So that's,
Yeah.
those are
But
the three
the
borrowers.
general revolve, TAM borrowing is the highest amount, because doesn't really have local taxes.
That's right. Yeah, and it's an annual.
It's due to the tax.
And it's due to the way the town collects taxes and gets to
Yes.
the county.
Correct, and we don't.
Because it's
receive-
December, January, and there's been discussion
Sure.
about eliminating that time period, so we don't have to spend this kind of money to.
It's a perennial discussion as to changing the way it is distributed, so it would prevent that borrowing cost. But there is also a flip side to that. If you do take that borrowing instrument away from a district, it can negatively affect your credit rating. So it's a twofold argument.
I know.
Sarah, has
that's-
there been any
amazing.
talk about, obviously the county had some hacking and it's slowing down some of their work, which is gonna slow down some of the town's ability to collect taxes and how that may affect the districts?
We've not received anything yet. I know that they were supposed to be up and running a little bit sooner than they expected. In the case of our tax collection, the district's tax collection, that usually happens at the very end of December, beginning of January. So nothing's really come out yet. So far we're on schedule, but this is to provide that cushion as well in anticipation of.
Any other questions for Sam? Just want to again thank the business department for their thoroughness. Everything we do for kids is reliant on the ability to fund it. And so our business department has been absolutely outstanding in ensuring that we have the funds we need to give the kids the programs and opportunities that they need. So thank you, Sam, and your department. And I just want to, again, to compliment the board. I thought I really enjoy being part of a community and a board of education that focuses on kids and education and conversing about the programs that we have. I'm really excited about the opportunities in athletics and in the special education department. We heard each month we're going to have a different area that's going to report back to you with ideas. And then after we do our surveys and our focus groups with the parents, students and staff, we're going to come back to you in February and kind of lay out plans for developing a 5-year strategic plan, which incorporates budget planning as well as programming and all the different ranges of schools.
One other question, how long does it take for us to get our federal money for a special ed program from the feds?
That's a good question. So the primary federal programs, we were special ed at 611 and 619 programs. So we do get an initial allocation, and then based on you could file it, annually, quarterly, depending. Once it's approved, it would be sent, to the state by us. So it's not all done at once. It's, based on, let's say on a quarterly basis, we'd send it up to Albany, they would review it, and then they would send it to us. But that I should mention, when it comes to federal money in special education, that is accounted for differently than what was on the screen. That's what's known as the special aid fund. It's a separate accounting, it's a separate fund altogether that is not voted upon by the taxpayers.
Right.
That supplements the special ed program that's already incorporated and integrated within the budget.
Right, and the last piece is just to alert you to the fact that we have, what is it, 1 or 2 policies, 4 policies, sorry,
Yeah.
for review. Julie, just want to read those out because I don't have them in front of me.
I have.
Oh, John, will-
I just had to hold on, so I'll get back.
so just 3 policies. that we can
Policy
do.
number 4532, E, application of volunteer service. It's the first reading to retire. I guess we're going to retire. The next one is policy 1500-R, turf field and turf tennis court guidelines. Next one is policy 2360, minutes. And policy 4321.12, use of timeout rooms, physical restraints, and adversaries. So,
And so just to go through those, the volunteer policy is really one that we just haven't used in a long time. So it's being recommended to retire it. Obviously, we just put in a turf tennis court, which is new and not like the other turf courts. We needed a policy related to that. And then there was a comment about the timeout rooms. It just needed some updating. It talked about being a punitive place as opposed to a place where kids could get support. So we're redesigning the language on that. And I think that was, and video conferencing. No. Okay.
now we do our notes, then we'll go back next week, because I do have,
Yes.
I'll ask one question now.
Yeah.
On minutes, it's actually asking that we have the minutes available to the board the day after our board meeting. Is that sufficient time?
It's
No,
before,
the
it's
day before the next
agenda.
board
Oh,
meeting.
before the next one.
Next
okay,
one,
so
yeah.
One day before.
One day before the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's 2 weeks.
No, but it says we'll present the draft minutes to the board within one day of the board meeting.
That's the
Of
next.
the
meeting.
That's what you said next meeting.
Yeah.
next
It's
meeting.
probably good.
Next.
The only other question I have, did I?
Well, I have
interrupt?
a second question about the time rooms. We have enough space in the buildings, time rooms, all
So we don't have ton of rooms.
We don't have
because
ton
we
of
don't- we
the,
don't-
whatever we call them, I'm sorry.
So
We call it whatever we call it.
we don't currently have those kind of spaces in our buildings. There is plans to put in place. They're not really, we're calling them, what are we calling them?
A sensory room.
Sensory rooms,
Sensory.
which is more of a place for kids to find their intercom, you know, if they need a break.
So we
take a
could change.
break, kind of come, get themselves together and then come back to class. It's not a punishment room, it's not a timeout room. And the language was old
Yeah.
from that policy, so we wanted to redesign it so that it was more in line with what we're.
So we could change the title on that, heading in some of the words in it.
And we can go through that. like,
Yeah.
at a later
It does-
date.
because it does say
We're not
timeout.
doing that now.
Yeah, no, those are just up for discussion
okay.
and we're gonna read those at the next board. meeting.
And the only other thing, could you explain to the public the difference between the turf field on Depot and the tennis turf? You said it was different.
Sure. So, Sam, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. When the original policy was designed, it was for the football field, which is right up the block here. In the spirit of keeping it consistent, we're integrating it also for the use of facilities because it is different than a grass field. Its maintenance is different. And also the security around it is different in terms of the gates and whatnot. And it is different because of the layout. It's a tennis court. It's not a football. It's not as big. And it's also at a different school. So again, just to maintain just the integrity of the concept of turf. That's why it's.
Also, so like in the football turf field, you can play lacrosse, soccer, people use it. Just this afternoon, I saw some kids running around playing football. On the tennis court, it's really specific for tennis and or ball and paddle type. games.
Does it have those, those little, I don't know what you'd call them, bubbles or
What's the,
something
what's
under
the,
the turf?
what's the film,
Pellets
what's the
under
film
the
made
turf.
of?
Yes, it's pellets and sand.
I own about
It's pellets.
50% of the pellets that
Yeah.
used to be
Yeah,
there.
there's stuff in my kitchen.
In my house.
Do you have that at the tennis court also?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it's pellets and
Just
sand.
wondering.
It's 2 layers of sand that we put in to compact.
So just on that, I look like we're taking an old policy and we're trying to blend in a new policy, and there are some places where it's not quite clear, is it just the turf, is it the tennis turf, or should it apply to both? Like, it says like no cleats on the tennis courts, which makes sense, and then it says cleats for the turf should be rubber or molded, and then it says no metal tips, cleats, high heel shoes on turf, which turf is that? So I think we need to be kind of clear.
Okay.
You know, I just hate policies that are not clear. And I think there's a couple of places in there that it does that, but that was the only thing I noticed.
Yes, and pickleball markings.
Yes.
And we determined there's no pickleball on that.
Yeah, we actually, when designing it, we asked if we wanted to do it, but given the fact that tennis is as popular as it is, and given the usage, the primary usage, from our students and community, we wanted to just limit it at this time to just tennis.
And I actually, are those courts open to the general public to play?
They would be. It would be under the same facilities use policy that we would have with any other facility in the district. Yes.
So I did hear the gates are locked, the courts.
The gates have been locked. We had to, I know that the teams are working on it. Playing on it. There was still one layer of sand that we had to, lay down in order for it to be fully functional. So really at this time it would be open. If they are locked, we can unlock them. If it is an outside group that wants to use it, then they have to go through the process.
For an outside group, but if I wanted to go down there, play my wife, not that I would play all that.
I mean, that's one, just like any other court, but if it's used for competition purposes or anything of the sort, it would have to go through the same
But
iteration.
you have to wait until that sand is in.
It's in.
Oh, it's now, okay, because I know it wasn't.
Any questions?
Very good.
Right, that's it.
That's it.
That's all for me.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Board of Education discussion. We have 2 items. First item is the New York State School Boards Convention that I had the chance to attend along with Maureen, Kelly, and Dr. Ferris. I thought we've been gone for 2 years, so it's pretty interesting to see that many people back and see a lot of other colleagues throughout this, the county and the state. The seminars weren't as good as they have been, but I certainly, Marlene Martin spoke, Matlin,
Marley Matlin.
Marlene Matlin, I think it was probably the best part of the whole conference, but it was pretty good. It was great to see colleagues out there as well, so.
We went to multiple different conferences. One thing Marley Madden, she spoke about inclusion and what we are doing. What I discovered there is we are in very good, we were forward thinking, we were ahead of the game. They had a whole seminar. A lot of the seminar was about the emotional social growth of students and how schools should be adding things like our Strides program, adding another social worker, which we did, because they said the pandemic did a lot of tough things to kids, and I'm very happy to see that a lot of things that they mentioned we already have, which is very good.
I have a lot to say.
Okay.
It was my first one.
Oh, and the law conference was excellent. Very good.
Excellent.
Yeah. it was
I also
very
found
good.
interesting, I'm sorry, we'll go back to Marlene Martin, she spoke. You also had
Sorry.
Betty Rosa spoke.
Yes.
After her was, and I think her biggest concern is what happened during the pandemic, is certainly the third through eighth grade test scores and where they're
How
falling
everything
down.
went
So,
down throughout the
and
state.
generally, that was the tone of most of the conferences, what's playing out for everybody with the pandemic and what happened. So
It's too bad Jillian isn't here because I would have to thank her
Yes.
for all what she has done, because she's moved in the direction that they're saying everyone should be moving.
so
in.
sorry to step on you, Kelly, but go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. No, I was just happy to go. It was my first conference. I did like they had that mobile app that helped us navigate
Yeah.
the system. I didn't like that they had conferences in 2 different locations. That was
Yeah.
hard to get to. Some of the things that we found, right, we brought back to share with everyone. One of the neat things we saw was this app that the guy who invented it was there talking about it. And it's for emotional wellness and how that pairs with academic success. And it just kind of is like something to check in.
That always, right?
Yeah, this is it.
I have that.
Leave it to Jillian. But it was really interesting to see they've been using it in, I think, Arizona, with a lot of success. I also spoke with, a few different schools. I spoke with some places that are really promoting the reading. NISMA, I just have a bunch of things here. I did like this academic readiness intervention system, which I spoke to you about, Dr. Ferris, and that was for the early education curriculum for children with autism. And I really like that program. And Mr. Canty, I can share that with you too as well. I think you already in your presentation kind of went over a few of the things, but just food for thought, if you'd like to check it out. I liked that. And then what else? Dr. Ferris, I went to the evaluating superintendents seminar, got a big book on it, lots of stuff.
Awesome.
You share.
We have a book.
We have a book now. You go.
There's a whole book on
Now
it.
you know what to do.
Yeah. No, but it was just interesting. We went to collective bargaining, the whole child learning, where we learned about flexible seating, data informed decision making with AROI, the academic return on investment. Sam would be happy that we went to that. Equity in education, coaching and official shortage. There was a lot of different seminars there.
We actually went to one that says how to turn your stage into a revenue generating.
Well, that was terrible. That
That
was,
was like, I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? It's like Simon Schuster trying to present us
They
something.
were trying
It's
to
like-
sell us the lighting.
It's like
system.
spider slide. Like,
Oh,
Yeah, that- they tried to make
What?
it like.
You
they
made
were
it sound
gonna-
like you designed a steam lab in
Yeah,
your
we're gonna
auditorium.
design
It
a steam
really
lab
was
there.
by our stage.
and get
By
state
our
aid for it,
stage,
right? Okay.
yeah, so we-
No.
left for that.
86,
Yeah. But overall, I thought it was a good experience, so I just want to thank you for.
What I found interesting, some of the sidebar discussions is, there's a lot of talk, especially up in rural upstate New York, about electric buses and what type of headaches
Yes.
they're gonna cause for rural upstate New York and athletic events too. Because for electric bus, you're spending 2 hours going there, you can't charge it there, how are you gonna get back? So there was a lot of discussion about the state makes that mandatory to have electric buses.
Yeah, they even said around here because of the stopping going in. It's not a good thing.
Very costly.
Yeah, it's very, very
Very
costly.
costly.
I look forward to next year. Is next year?
Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo.
Oh.
Then the year after that.
He knows how he's
Honestly, New York
very,
City.
he was so enthusiastic at the beginning. I'm looking forward to next year. Where's Buffalo?
Oh, yeah, it's New York City.
After Buffalo, it's New York City.
Okay, 2 years, I'm looking forward.
You have to,
One of the things about Marley Matlin that I thought was really nice was, and for those who don't know, she was the woman in Children of the Lesser Garden, that she won the Academy Award in 1984. And then she was most recently in a film called Coda. But she spoke about being a young child whose parents decided not to send her to a deaf school because they didn't want her to go away. So she had to go to the regular public school. And the challenges of trying to fit in and integrate into a public school at a time when most deaf children were sent away. And that experience kind of resonated with me when we talk about inclusivity and trying to help our most disadvantaged students feel like they belong. And so I think that's
She was
what,
great.
I don't think there was a dry eye
Yeah.
in the house throughout
some
that
of
speech.
the variants,
She did good.
it was very good.
I mean, I went to an aviation finance convention last
Oh,
week.
great.
I could share it with you guys, but I don't think that's much.
Fascinating.
I think we had more fun than we did.
You have to bite the bullet and drive for 6 hours.
And the rock wasn't really that big.
So I wanted to mention.
Oh, Kelly also wanted to mention one more athletic achievement of our students.
Yes,
Oh,
so
yes.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the Sayville Little League 12U boys baseball team, who, if any of you remember the Little League World Series this year, everyone was kind of excited because Massapequa was in it. I'm really proud to say that Sayville actually had a shot at it. They wound up being the 2022 Sayville Little League District 35 and Section 4 champions. We went up to Rochester, which was really great. Our journey ended there. But these boys played really hard, and I wanted to give a shout out and just read their names. Jack Andreskowitz, Jackson Dale, Aiden Devane, Alex DeVito, Timothy Hollihan, Trevor Leniak, Nate Lewis, Liam Reese, Gavin Sack, Christian Theodemetrius, Julian Trainer, and alternates Jack Barry, Max Seedy, and Sam DeVito, as well as their coaches and managers and assistant coaches who are all Sayville dads who dedicate their time to coach these boys, amazing men, Brian Lewis, John Andreskowitz, Greg Trainer, Mike Devane, Joe DeVito, and Steve Theodemetrius, the Greek. So just a shout out to them. They played really hard and they represented Sayville really nicely upstate. So
Good man.
good job.
That's awesome.
That's all I have today.
Any other items for board discussion?
No.
Okay, great. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is it public comment?
No, we really vote on the different items and then do public comment?
We did that.
Where am I?
This is long.
Volleyball, right? Okay, recommend. We have public comment? We have public.
Oh, yeah, Julie just wanted us to mention that the championship game is on the 8th.
No, public session, 501. I'm looking
Yeah,
at, I'm stepping, pushing right on it. It's like, okay. Next item is public session. As you see, a quick show of hands, how many people like to speak tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay.
Can we, John, can we just,
Oh, wait, we missed
the volleyball,
We
right?
missed volleyball, girls volleyball. In the,
Julie just wanted us to mention that.
Oh, I'm
their
sorry.
Championship game on the 8th, no, it's okay at 5 PM, and if any of the board members are interested in going, just check with her, and Dr. Cox is going to put us on the
I'm
list.
sorry, that was my
I
mistake.
like
And thank you, Dr. Cox.
Yeah.
Wherever you are.
All right, next item on the agenda tonight. Now it is public session. Being that we have about 8 people, we're going to set aside approximately a half hour. The Board of Education, our administrators listen carefully to what members of the community have to say. We follow regulations specified by law and policy as we encourage our community members to offer public comment at Board of Education meeting. The Board of Education requests that anyone who participates in public session demonstrate civility as they address the board and community. Board of Education meetings are held in public view, giving the public the opportunity to watch, listen to the proceedings of the board. In these meetings, district staff and the board on matters pertaining to the school district. The board may be required to take action on matters related to district operations. Board policy 1230 provides the opportunity for a period of public comment during these meetings. With that in mind, we offer a brief word parameters on the public comment period. Can everyone hear me back there? Am I loud enough?
Yeah.
Great. 30 minutes have been set aside. The board reserves the right to limit public participation in any given case or to extend the maximum comment period if it deems necessary. Questions and comments by the public are limited to 3 minutes per person. Speakers are asked to identify themselves and or the group they represent. Speakers should conduct themselves in a civil manner and direct the comments to the board. The board will not permit discussion involving individual district personnel, students, or community members. Thank you. Wait, whoa, wait a second. What?
We never had that out before.
Oh my God, I'm sorry you got so excited. Wait, one minute. I think she was up first, but if you wouldn't mind just stepping up to the podium, then Mark, I'll get to you next.
You require us to identify you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Rob, I don't have to. So, okay, so I will anyway. So my name is Jenny. I'm here and I never thought I would be at a neighboring district's Board of Education meeting. I am not a Sayville resident. I am from the Camp Pot School District. However, I do pay attention to what goes on in neighboring school districts, and I have for many, many years, as I have children in school, and I feel it is my duty to make sure that my children and all of the children that they are with have the best possible chance for success while they are in school. You have one shot to go through school, and that is it. Couple of things I want to point out. First off, I love the absolute presentation on the special education. I think it was wonderful. I love the great things that Sayville's doing. I'm aware of most of it because I do pay attention to not just neighboring districts, but districts across Long Island and across the United States as well, because I think it's important. Knowledge is power. The more we know, the better we do, the better for the children, because this is what is about the children. Ms. Dolan, I wanted to point out, and you mentioned talking about the language for young children. Jericho is a great district to call if you didn't
I
already.
already spoke to them.
She's wonderful. She's written a book. It's fantastic. I spoke to her a few years ago. Connect actually does at lunchtime language program for the younger learners. Might be something that Sayville would be interested in. I'm sure our district would be happy to collaborate with you on that and tell you what we're doing. So that could be something that could also benefit for the children here. Another thing you guys are doing, unified basketball, hopefully, which it sounds like you are. We've been doing that for 3 years. It's a fantastic program. We've also just okayed bowling, unified bowling in our district. We're working on unified cheer, and we also have okayed girls flag football. So it's fantastic. So I love that. That's called collaboration, and I love that. I have an issue with one of your school board trustees who has, and I will not identify them by name as requested, but I will say that this particular trustee through the years has infiltrated into our district and has some bizarre obsession with our district. They do not live in our district. They do not have children in our district. They do not pay taxes to our district. However, the only time they want to be involved in our district is when it's to create a division. And when they create a division, it creates issues for the children in our district. We recently had a very difficult issue in our district that we were trying to work together to make for the betterment of the children. And this person, instead of being collaborative, as they have stated in some of their prior writings, how their line through the civic duty is through co-collaboration, what they did was instead incite things that created riotous behavior, and they made it so that people like myself who went to our board meetings to try and discuss educational opportunities for the children, which I have been doing for over 15 years, to discuss things like mental health, where, by the way, in October of 2021, it was declared a national state of emergency for the top 3.
I'm gonna ask that you finish up, please.
Okay. I would like them to just please leave our district alone. It is inappropriate and is rooting into our children. I certainly would never do that to your district. We should
Sorry,
work together.
Sorry, well, hold on one second. Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, couple more minutes,
We
seconds, go
should
ahead.
work together for the children. That's what it's for. We should truly collaborate. It's not to go after a person, but if your genuine goal is to collaborate and to work for the betterment of the children, you cannot do that because your genuine goal is performative activism. Do the right thing.
Again, I'm
We're
gonna
here
ask
for
that you
the
finish up,
kids. We're
please.
here for the kids, and that's what I want to see. I love what you guys are doing. I
Thank you.
would love to know more about it. If there are things that we're doing in our district that could benefit your children by you learning from us and us learning from you, absolutely reach out. That's what we should, that's what I did.
Again, I'm gonna ask
Jericho district.
you to
Yes.
finish up, then I'm gonna make a brief statement. Of course, I
Absolutely.
think it looks like there may be a couple people. maybe a couple people who may want to speak of this, but I'll just make a statement. Thank you for your comments this evening. I would like to reiterate that this particular board member, since you didn't mention his name, views are his own and not represent those of this Board of Education. As such, the board will not be addressing this issue this evening. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Actually, it was Mr. Ruff.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack. Jack,
It will be your
Jack,
turn.
go ahead, Mr. Ruff.
I don't know how this works, I'm like.
Go ahead, let me go to Mr. Ruff. Let me go to Mr. Ruff.
Who do I go?
I wanted to jump in front of the ball, not behind, okay?
No,
Go ahead.
I'll behind.
I'm sorry, I realize you know, like, give numbers and stuff, I
No,
apologize.
you're good.
I'm just trying to do it, get everyone in the right order, so I'm sorry if it gets a little crazy, that little hands go up and stuff, but go ahead.
Okay, for those who don't know who I am, I'm Jacqueline Napolitano. I am the Connecticut Board President. I am not here as the Connecticut Board President, I am here as Jacqueline Napolitano. I am the woman that one of your board members apparently decided to write an article about after he went after me on social media during my reelection in May. Obviously, said board member has not listened to the Connecticut community's vote in May, where they came out in a 2-to-1 vote to reelect me up against a teachers union that has never been beat before. I must say thank you to Mr. Verdone for always being professional and respectful with me. I must also say thank you to the superintendent for reaching out to the Connecticut superintendent to speak on behalf of the rest of the board, acknowledging that there was an article that was not approved by any board. Mr. Birch should be ashamed of himself for talking about the Connecticut school district, period. His past employment should not be used as a crutch to get his point across. He obviously has an issue with me. He doesn't know me personally, and I have never spoken with him. He's never reached out to have a professional conversation about anything board related. How does he know anything about me other than what his old cronies have told him? He obviously decided to do their dirty work. While I will not pretend to be an educator, I'm a very good investigator. I easily was able to connect the dots to exactly where this issue has taken place and why neighboring school districts are having issues now. He has proven he is not for children. Otherwise, he would be focusing all of his attention on the issues all of our students are all facing. Students with additional mental health needs, students with test taking skills and strategies issues, students falling behind, all of these things that we're dealing with, all which is a direct result of the last challenging years through a pandemic that none of us have ever faced before. He should be focusing on Sayville and Sayville residents and students. I would much rather be at the county soccer championship tonight for the varsity team. Our varsity team is there playing tonight, the same as last night. I sat in the front row for volleyball for Connecticut. Our school is a wonderful school district, much like Sayville. We have a lot to be proud of, and that is what we should be discussing tonight. We should be discussing all the wonderful things that your school district and ours has done. We should not be discussing what has gone on. I grew up in Connecticut. I went through kindergarten to 12th grade. I am a direct alumni of Connecticut. It has been a wonderful community for me. I built a house next door to my parents. Obviously, many like myself did the same. Obviously, many decided to come out and vote for me. Many were happy to have me there. So if people have an issue, maybe we could have collaborated and worked together and talked about what the issue was, not this. Many in my community have reached out stating how disheartened they were, that there were so many things written that were so untrue, that something was put in a newspaper that was an attack on me and many others.
I'm gonna ask that you finish up, please.
Sure. How many progress flags are up in the Sayville School District? It looks like this district is unfortunately more interested in the politics than
Again,
it is in Sayville, in the Sayville
can you
constituency.
kindly finish, please?
Absolutely.
I'll give you
I
2 more
have something
seconds.
that I would like to give to this district, and I would like to give to the board. If you feel that this is something you want to put up in your district, and you feel like you want to advocate for it, I wholeheartedly support that, and you should. You should advocate for anything you as a board member feel is important, the same way I should do the same at my district. I appreciate you doing that. I did not put an article in the paper against your school district because I feel that it is inappropriate and unprofessional.
Thank you. I'm going to read the statement again, and I think you'll get a hint of where this board has come. Thank you for your comments this evening. I would like to reiterate, now that you mentioned Dr. Birch, views are his own and do not represent that of the Board of Education. As such, the board will not be addressing it this evening. So anyone else would like to get up and speak? Mark,
I'll go quick.
come on up, Mark.
I'm not touching this. And I'm upset that Mrs. Mackers isn't here because she said whenever I approach the podium, she looks away because she doesn't want me to pick on her. And tonight's the night. I just want to touch down. She had 2 seminars about suicide awareness. One was in person and one was on a Zoom. I went to the in-person and I was on the Zoom call, which just popped in the area lesson. And the amount of people that either showed up or listened to this was really low. I think on the Zoom, it was 22 was the max. Quite a few with staff members and principals and stuff, but it's a good little thing that they got going here, and I hope she does it, keeps doing it and pushing it. This group she's working with, I think it's opened up in the in-person. They had a little bit of a moment going on that was nice, and then on the Zoom, some lady found out about a group she didn't know about, and I thought it was it's a good little workshop, I guess you could say. I advise the parents, I know we're all in the, not my kid. Just if it's on Zoom, just pop in here and listen to it. You're gonna pick something up out of it. And it's just, I wanted to actually say it was one of the probably better presentations that I've seen this district do. And she's not even here.
Mark, come back next week, Mark.
We'll tell her.
That's all. Oh, and who's the gym teacher in Lincoln with the blue hair? She is awesome.
amazing.
She is awesome.
Thank you, Mark.
We did the color run and not the color run, the duathlon. And I've never seen in the middle of a conversation, just was talking to a parent. It's like, a kid needs me, gone. I mean, she was with the kids all the time. She's awesome. So I wanted to just throw that out there.
I want to thank you for
Thank you.
recognizing
Thank you.
that program. It was, it was really nice to see some parents come out. We'd like to see more parents participate in the future. And we also did some presentations for our students as well. So thank you.
Next.
Hi, my name is Cassie Riley. I'm a community member. I'm also a Northport teacher, special education teacher, and I coach the unified basketball team. I've been the assistant coach of that team for the past 6 years, which is 7 years we've had it. You know, Dr. Cox and I worked closely together last year to integrate the bowling, which, steps at a time, right? So bowling is now Suffolk County sport also, but basketball is a great way to start. I'm thrilled to hear that it's something the district is considering. It's a wonderful, wonderful program. So if anybody needs anything on that, please don't hesitate to reach out. And Cox knows that. I did want to also piggyback on something that came out of the special education presentation. I think it's great. All these initiatives are wonderful. It looks like everyone's working for things. Something, you said, Mr. Cooley, is using that word special can make the kids feel different. I think the key is we have to get the kids to embrace that these differences aren't going away for them. So how do we as a district start younger? I brought my 2nd grade son to his parent-teacher conference. I made him sit with that teacher. And I did basically what they consider a student-directed IEP meeting with my 2nd grade son and his teacher. These things and initiatives can happen younger, so that they're gonna go to college. They're gonna have to apply for an Office of Disability Services. So if we pretend all their lives that they don't have these needs, where are we getting with that? So I think that it's amazing. All this inclusivity, everything we're doing is only going to help them grow. But there's even more that the district can look to do to empower those kids and empower the staff. The staff at Sunrise Drive is amazing when I propose this. I think, the speech teacher, Ms. Bruce, looked at me like, really, you're bringing, I'm like, yes, he needs to be there. He needs to hear, and we prepared something for him, his strengths, his weaknesses that he perceived, and then they were able to say, no, that's not even true. And then he went home feeling better than if I went by myself, and I would have been attacked. What my teacher say about me. So I think there are things that we can continue to do, and I love the growth that I've seen in the 10 years I've been transition coordinator, working with the Sayville district cohesively with their transition coordinator. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
for allowing me this opportunity to speak. Under normal circumstances, I would never approach, but sadly, this door was opened by your sitting trustee, James Birch. And I put a disclaimer out there. I'm not speaking on behalf of the Connecticut District as vice president. I am also not speaking on behalf of the Greater Islip Association where I'm president, nor vice president of the Bohemia Civic, but I am a Sayville resident. I've always thought there was an unspoken mutual respect. I don't impede on your district, you don't impede on mine. While we have the First Amendment of freedom of speech, as board trustees, even when we leave the boardroom, your words and actions do have reactions, and your words will be perceived as a sitting board member, depending on context and content. On October 21st, James Birch authored an op-ed in the Suffolk County News. Days later on Post, he mentions, what I didn't mention is I also served on the Board of Education in a neighboring district. So here are a few fun facts. James Birch some time ago wrote a letter to the CTA, which is the Connecticut Teachers Association Union, which was basically a hit piece against me, that I was incompetent to serve on the Connecticut Board of Ed. My priority was to stop Island Hill zone change opposition. James Birch did a video interview of a candidate in my district to endorse her campaign, spoke badly of her opponent on Facebook. Is this acceptable behavior? Can I do this and push a campaign for a trustee that I would like to see in your district? He has referred to myself and other board trustees, including the board president, and derogatory comments on Facebook. Courtesy of your constituents, they have shared that with me. Here's my favorite. On October 9th, there was a Zoom call orchestrating a protest against the Connecticut School Board. A detailed plan on how this group was going to storm the Connecticut Board meeting on October 11th. I have it right here. Organization, what this is called, the organization call. It mentions direct action targeting Board of Ed trustees. Imagine. I have it right here. So let me ask you a question, board trustees. 75% of those who attended the Connecticut meeting that night were not residents of our district. We're not residents. How do you feel if 75% of your audience who are not your residents of your district tell you what to do in your district? How about I can assure you their tones are not as respectful as I sit here before you. I will say you are getting off pretty easy. It would be great in a perfect world if we had this mutual respect, but sadly, James Birch presented in his capacity that this would be a fallacy. It's unfortunate because many of those that don't sit in these positions couldn't fathom the amount of time committed, dedicated to a sitting trustee. The countless
Marlon,
hours
I'm gonna ask that you
dedicated
finish
beyond the
up,
board
please.
meetings, the balancing
Marlon?
acts of being fiscally responsible. So I'm just gonna ask one question. I had more. I can leave you my speech.
Thank you.
But what does this mean? Because this is what I see for your district.
We don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe James can share with you what this means. Because if you look it up on the urban district, urban dictionary, I know what it means.
Thank you.
Look it up, urban
I'm
dictionary.
just going to respond to that comment.
I didn't hear the comment.
That image has absolutely nothing to do with the Sayville School District, and we don't use it. The image we use, hold on,
Being portrayed though.
is,
Somebody.
It's on
Is that
Facebook.
all right, so I'm just responding to the person who spoke.
Let-
You're not an issue right now.
Can Dr. Ferris finish, please?
So the image that we use is the one that's on the symbol that's right there. That's our Sayville symbol. If anyone's using a symbol, I saw something sent to me the other day with that fist pasted on top of our symbol and saying, why are you using the symbol? That is not the Sayville School District symbol. We do not use that symbol. That has nothing to do with the Sayville schools. And once again, we want to reiterate the fact that we empathize with the Connecticut School District. We understand the pain that you're feeling right now and that you're going through a lot. But this Board of Education and this school district has absolutely nothing to do with those feelings. It's an individual and not really feeling that we can address that here. Just like we wouldn't want you to address anything related to us in your district. So we understand and we have nothing further to comment on except that we want to move forward.
Can I have the next person speak, please, if there's another person?
I didn't plan on speaking, but I didn't plan anything, but as a parent of Sayville,
Can I have a first name?
my
Just
first name is Jane.
thank you.
My daughter graduated, special needs,
Jean?
Jane.
And
I think the teachers need to get on board with, I mean, I see big changes here tonight compared to what my daughter received. I had to be her advocate. There was a lot of bullying by the football team. And I think that needs to be addressed in school, because I think there's a blind eye from, not so much administrators, but the teachers, teacher aides, anybody who's working in the classrooms, a lot of it put the blinders on. So to me tonight, when that fist came up and what's coming up with Connect What, I've seen it on, that's bullying. And when I hear bullying, my daughter received that through Sayville School District. And I can tell you today, because of her mother, because of her support from a lot of teachers in Sayville, my daughter graduated summa cum laude with a master's degree. And that is because of a collaboration and not being bullied at home. But when a child comes home every day and cries because they are different, and you use those special words, and then we have this fist up, that hit me tonight when I saw that fist.
That fist
I've
is
seen
not-
it on
it's not
Facebook,
us.
and
It's
I
not
know
us.
that, but we have somebody sitting here tonight that has been using it, and if I'm paying tax dollars to live here, I want not to see that. I'm not on Facebook a lot. I'm not on Instagram a lot. I do have those accounts. I see that every day. I saw those op-eds. That to me is bullying another school district, and I don't like that. My daughter was bullied. Thankfully, my daughter survived, but today she still remembers it. You don't forget when you're bullied. You don't forget it. You remember the teachers that helped you, and you remember the teachers that tried to sabotage you. And that is a fact. My daughter wrote a letter to acceptance to college from Mrs. Linskog, who told her that she would not be able to be successful in a regular classroom. And these are all things just came back from a fist, because it's bullying.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else would like to speak this evening?
Yes, I will, if I could have the accommodation, please.
Session.
Please let me just add this in on top of my 3 minutes. I didn't intend to cause such confusion. I brought this image
What did,
last year.
I'm sorry, Tia, what did you say before?
If I can just, I'm trying to clear up the confusion here with this. I didn't realize it would cause such confusion. You're new to the district. Last year, I brought this to a board meeting. Okay, on May 2nd, 2001, James put up a post promoting the Strides program. Beautiful pictures of children, about 16 pictures, you know, James. I brought it to the board meeting, I believe we were in the other building, and I asked the board about this. He said, what's wrong with it? Okay, I need you to Google this. Google this in Urban Dictionary. Just Google it. You still have it up there. And I'm glad that on the logo, it got parents to show up and speak about it. Okay, I know it's not your logo. I know that is not, everybody should know that's not the district logo. Okay, that was added atop, and I will remove it, but I'm glad it brought attention to this. Because what you're doing by putting this near the kids is disgusting. Look it up. I expect, look up Fire Fist, every single one of you. Please, he's sitting next to you, it's a personal account, whatever, there's a fine line between being a board trustee, okay, and your actions as a person in the community. You really need, you put it up with the Strides program promotion. So,
Okay, so
in
I wanna-
my idea, that's your capacity, you're acting your capacity, whether or not you said it.
Tia,
okay?
can you?
I want to clarify something, a couple of things. So, one,
I'm gonna pause.
yeah, please do. Yeah, pause your time for a minute, because I want to make sure it's very clear, because there was confusion. I got a couple
I know
emails
you did.
yesterday saying, why has the district, changed the logo? And, there was some weird thing where there was like a
I know.
Sayville
but
Public
this is
Schools
about-
around it. So I just want to make it clear, clarify a couple of things. This is the logo. There is no other logo. Two, the Strides program has absolutely nothing to do with that logo or the one that
Well,
you're holding
he
up.
has
And
it
I
on
want,
his
I want to
phone.
make it sure. Also, no individual trustee,
Not that.
no individual trustee has anything to do with the Strides program. The Strides program was created by a committee of teachers, parents, and students in the Sayville School District to promote healthy, basically emotional support for students. So I think it's important to note that that's being co-opted in some way, and Strides has nothing to do with it. So I just want to make sure that's
I'm sorry, it's
clear.
not being co-opted. You have a member sitting here. Okay, this, please, I have something else to discuss in my 3 minutes. You have a member sitting here who literally has it on their Facebook page promoting this. Look at May 2nd, you know what I'm talking about. You know the post, I brought it up last year. It's still there, 16 pictures, beautiful kids and everything. This is our strike program, blah, blah, blah. You wrote a whole beautiful article, like you always write your articles. And there's that last picture of this, including the strike program. Why? Okay, so I don't know, I'm a regular person. Just as much as you say, somebody might misinterpret your use of the logo, being the schools representing the district, but it's not. Well, how do I represent, how does that represent James as a citizen or a school board member? When I see him discussing the whole program and all these pictures of the kids, how do you get permission to use all those school pictures? And then this, it's there. So that's the issue. You can't really discuss it. I'm sure it's a legal one, but James, you're crossing the line, in my opinion. Wherever it is, it might be blurry even under the law, but you're crossing the line. This doesn't belong with our children. Okay, that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for the confusion. Special ed program, Maureen, I know you're sympathetic toward it. Are the inclusion of children still segregated
What do you mean segregated?
in different buildings? Like
Yes.
their inclusion?
I said that.
I know,
No,
but that-
no, that's not what it is. So we have different programs in different buildings. We have.
They are.
co-teaching
So I
program,
know
one
already.
building
I have
is-
a child who
That's
went
what she's
through,
talking about.
2 children who went through. One
It's
who
much
had-
different than it was.
Teal, can you finish and we'll answer that question, please, instead of,
But
because
the
you burn,
inclusion-
I don't want you to waste all your time just going back and forth, so.
The inclusion, yeah, so I can ask my questions. Okay, so the inclusion program, they are still segregated into one building. They're not, they're homeschooled. The
That
inclusion
one.
children who have aids,
Just on the phone.
who have the special aids go around, resource room, whatever. That's what I'm saying. If we can take those inclusion children and disperse them across the districts. If you change the name of the program, isn't gonna change much. My son had services. What bothers them, you might wanna sit with those kids and ask them with their parents. The stigma of having an aide run around with them all day, maybe.
You know,
more
I'm
comfortable,
gonna-
Okay?
I think my timing tonight wasn't really working all that well. I'm gonna ask that you finish up, please.
All right. The
Give me-
flag,
I'll give you
I
another
just
10
want to go
seconds.
over this, since they brought this flag here, I'll leave the other things. Here's your original flag.
Teal,
Everybody was included in this flag, everybody, people call it everybody for many years, everybody.
we
Yes, an optimist came along, so let me make a few bucks.
generally am a gentleman,
Took
and
a-
I want to be a gentleman. I really want to be a gentleman.
took a
But can we see if there's
political-
anyone else who wants to speak tonight first, before you continue?
I'm just, it's only
Can-
one
is it-
sentence.
Okay.
Took a political movement from Black Lives Matter, police brutality assumed, and
Teal.
people of color here.
Wait,
They weren't included
I-
here.
You know, I have a
That's it.
gavel, I have a
I'm
gavel,
done. Thank you.
and I don't want to use it.
Go ahead.
Okay, next, please. Being that it doesn't look like there's anyone
Can I
else.
just ask a question though? Inclusion classrooms are in a particular elementary school now?
No.
We-
There are services throughout.
So there are many different levels of services in many different buildings. So in Sunrise Drive and in Lincoln, we have some co-teaching programs. The reason we don't have co-teaching programs in all 3 schools is because there's not enough students in each school to be in those programs. So you have to put a program in a particular school. So Cherry might have some programs, Lincoln might have other programs, and Sunrise might have other programs. And if a specific child has a need, they may have to go to a different school to get that need met. So, but there's not like, and so the idea would be if you wanted to put co-teaching in every single school building in the elementary, you'd have to have one section in each building, that'd be 3 teachers, but you might only have one student in one section, one student in another with regular ed students, but it wouldn't be cost effective. So there's a cost associated with it as well as a philosophical approach. You have to balance the 2 when you make a decision. But there's, you know, I don't want to use the word segregation. I think that's a very
That's what it is.
misleading
I
word.
wouldn't have liked that as a parent. My daughter was in inclusion as well.
It's not.
I have my kids, but they're both together as siblings in one.
May I just say about the strides?
Can
As
you
a
please step up to the
mother,
podium?
my kids aren't allowed to participate in anything strides related. But things come home and they want my pre-K kid to like decorate and it's cute and it's gonna be weird that she's the only one not doing it. Because the way it's presented to us is very political and it really is only one board member who posts about it incessantly, now 2, actually now there's 2. But there's, you know, it's not just about what's good for the kids, and I'm sure there's really well-meaning stuff there, but when you mix it in with politics and you constantly promoting it one board member,
Okay,
that's why we don't do the strides parades in my house.
I'd love you to give me a call tomorrow and we can talk about it because I want to understand that better. Thank you.
I thought it was his. That's the way it's been
Thank you.
presented.
But
And
it's-
that's very confusing and it shouldn't be.
I brought it up last year
Thank you.
and nothing's done.
That's one more time. Anyone else want to speak this evening? I'll take a break if you want. Okay. Thank you for all your comments tonight. I appreciate you coming out tonight and speaking. Next item on the agenda is approval minutes. Can I have a motion on 6-1 and 6-2, please?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion? All those in favor? Without objection, could I go from 7-1 to 8-2, please? Motion,
Motion.
second,
Second.
discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay, I need a motion. I'll start today. When I need a motion to go back to the executive session, please, to continue our original conversation.
Second.
We're in executive session, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.